the red bike. The sound of laughter filled the front yard, as 3 or more children ran around the trees, all of them playing tag. Ha ha ha, you're it, Margaret. No, I'm not. Charlie is it. Some more laughter, and the small ones were back to chasing everyone they could catch. One of these runners was a small young 5-year-old, with short blonde hair, and bright green eyes. His complexion was much paler than what some were used to. His name was Marcus T. Worthy. A small body, though very strong, he was wearing his favorite jean overalls, and red and white striped shirt, along with small white Nike sneakers. His giggle seemed to echo through the trees, as he chased his friends, who ran away laughing with excitement. Children. It's time for dinner, come on back now. A motherly voice called out, causing the children to race back to the house, seeing if anyone would be the winner, they'd be the first to get a cookie. Marcus followed slowly behind, allowing his friends to run up ahead of him. He wasn't ready to go inside, nor did he want to. Come on, Charlie. Mama says it's time to eat. Margaret called out, giving Marcus a bright smile, who only nodded. I'll be right there, Mary. What caught Marcus' attention was a small red bicycle with training wheels, the one he remembered playing with when he was only 3. He was a bit big for his age, strong as well. His parents were surprised he was able to even ride at such a young age. Smiling lightly at the memory, he quickly ran over and took a seat on the bike. Surprisingly, it fit him perfectly, and off he rode, giggling happily as it took it for a test drive. Inside the house, the others had sat down to eat dinner, one of them catching a glimpse of Marcus riding on the bicycle. Hey look! Charlie's riding his bike! One of the boys called out, which had everyone look up and out the window in amazement. The woman who had prepared the dinner only shook her head, before looking out the window, a bit curious too, and was shocked to see that the bicycle her children was going on about was indeed turning around in circles. But what had her on the edge was that no one was sitting on it. It's probably the wind, she said, mostly to herself. Come along now, children, you must finish your dinner, or you won't get any ice cream for dessert. Or, Mom. They all whined, before taking their seats and continuing to eat, while Marcus continued to ride and ride, around the trees, around the house, and through the deepness of the woods. He wasn't hungry, he was happy. Happy that he had reunited with his bike was again his favorite toy. His little legs pedaled fast and faster, until he came to a graveyard that sat in the middle of the woods. He didn't learn how to read, so he wasn't sure what the letters on the tombstone meant, but it did make him curious. He continued to pedal slowly now, weaving through the stones, until he came to one that said, "Here lies Marcus T. Worthy, the boy who had once lived a joyous life, before being brutally murdered by unknown." Marcus seemed to have read the words, even when he couldn't understand them. Why was his name here, and what happened? He got up from the bike, and left it there, before hearing footsteps approaching. With wide eyes, he quickly hid behind the tombstone, and listened carefully. He heard a small voice. It was that woman he heard earlier. "I can't change the past of what happened to you, my dear son." Peering from behind the stone, Marcus looked up into the face of a beautiful young woman, whose hair was long and blonde, with small curls running on the end. Her fingers ran over his name, which had him raise an eyebrow. He then decided to show himself, and stood up, before running over to the bike, and hopped back on it. The woman was soon startled, as she turned around to see her son sitting there on the bike, looking as real as ever. Marcus?" He giggled softly, and started up on the bike again, riding back to the house. "Marcus. Marcus, wait." The woman ran after him, noticing how fast he was going. She remembered that he was stronger than he looked, and continued to run after him, calling his name. Once they got to the house, Marcus stopped, and turned to stare at the woman, watching her stop to take a breather, and soon said with a soft voice, "Mom?" The woman looked up sharply, staring at the glowing boy, before running over, and pulling him into her arms. Real. He felt so real. But how? She pulled him away from her embrace and looked upon him. "Marcus, is it really you?" He nodded, before giggling, and kissed her cheek. "Mama?" He realized the wetness on his cheeks. They were tears, from his mother and himself. The woman held his death-cold cheeks as she stared at him. "Yes, my dear?" He smiled. "Don't be sad, Mama. I'm all right. You'll be fine. Goodbye." "What?" She stared at him with a confused expression, until she felt another kiss on her cheek, while he said, "I love you, Mama." She pulled him close to hug him, but he was not there. A river of tears ran down her cheeks as she stared at the space he had just occupied. "I love you too." "Oh, Marcus. Why?" Standing up to her feet, she wiped away her tears, though they kept coming, and made her way back to the house, but not before hearing the small giggle of her son, and turned to see the red bicycle riding away.
Did you enjoy the content? If you did, please give that like button a click, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Don't forget to put your thoughts in the comments section below. And remember, have a raven-filled night.